Your constant availability is a form of cowardice disguised as helpfulness. You say yes to everyone because you're afraid of conflict, afraid of disappointing people, afraid of being seen as selfish. But this fear is keeping you trapped in mediocrity, while braver people set boundaries and achieve extraordinary results. Every notification you respond to immediately is you choosing the comfort of people-pleasing over the discomfort of discipline. You're not being kind, you're being weak. And weakness never built anything worth having. There's a brutal truth about success that nobody wants to tell you. The most successful people you know appear selfish. They don't answer every phone call. They don't respond to every text message within minutes. They don't say yes to every invitation, every request, every favor asked of them. And here's what's shocking. This isn't a character flaw. It's their secret weapon right now. At this very moment, your phone is probably within arm's reach. Your email notifications are turned on. Your social media apps are ready to ping you the second someone wants your attention. You've trained yourself and everyone around you to believe that you're always available, always ready to drop everything for anyone who needs you. And this single habit is destroying your chances of achieving anything meaningful in your life. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you had 3 uninterrupted hours to work on something important? When did you last spend an entire morning focused on your biggest goal, without checking your phone, answering messages, or responding to someone else's urgent crisis? If you're like most people, you can't remember. And that's exactly the problem. The availability epidemic has infected our entire society. We wear our constant accessibility like a badge of honor. We brag about answering emails at midnight. We feel proud when people call us reliable, dependable, always there when needed. But what we don't realize is that every time we make ourselves available to everyone else, we become unavailable to ourselves. Every interruption steals not just time, but momentum, focus, and the deep thinking required for breakthrough results. Here's what happens in your brain when you're constantly available. You're working on something important. Maybe it's a project that could advance your career. Maybe it's learning a new skill. Maybe it's building your business. You're in the zone, making real progress. Then your phone buzzes. Just a quick text. You think, I'll respond and get right back to work. But that's not how your mind works. When you stop what you're doing to respond to someone else's need, your brain doesn't just pause, it completely shifts gears. The neural pathways that were firing for your important work shut down. New pathways activate to process the interruption. And when you try to return to your original task, your brain has to rebuild those connections from scratch. What psychologists call task switching penalty isn't just academic theory. It's the invisible thief stealing your potential every single day. Think about the most successful person you know personally, not a celebrity or someone you've read about, but someone in your life who has achieved significant results. Now think about their availability. Are they constantly checking their phone when you're talking to them? Do they answer every call immediately? Are they always saying yes to every social invitation? I guarantee the answer is no. They've learned something that average people never figure out. Your attention is your most valuable asset. And assets must be protected. The tragedy is that most people confuse being busy with being productive. They fill every moment of their day responding to other people's needs, other people's timelines, other people's priorities. They mistake motion for progress. At the end of each day, they collapse exhausted, feeling like they worked hard but accomplished nothing significant. And they're right. They worked hard on everyone else's agenda while their own dreams and goals collected dust. There's a hidden cost to constant availability that goes beyond lost productivity. When you make yourself accessible to everyone, you signal to the world and to yourself that your time isn't valuable, that your goals aren't important, that other people's immediate wants are more significant than your long-term vision. You train people to treat you like a support character in their story instead of the hero of your own. Consider Lisa, a talented marketing professional who couldn't understand why her career had stagnated. She worked longer hours than her colleagues. She was always helpful, always responsive, always willing to take on extra projects. Yet promotions passed her by. The reason became clear when she tracked her time for a week. She spent less than 2 hours each day on strategic, high-value work. The rest was consumed by interruptions, requests, meetings, and other people's urgent issues. Her constant availability had made her indispensable as a problem solver, but invisible as a leader. The cruel irony is that being too available actually makes you less valuable, not more. When people know they can reach you anytime, when they know you'll always say yes, when they know you'll drop everything for their needs, they begin to take you for granted. Scarcity creates value, availability destroys it. Your smartphone isn't a tool anymore, it's a leash. Your email isn't communication, it's a remote control that allows others to direct your attention. Your open door policy isn't helpfulness, it's an invitation for your focus to be fragmented into uselessness. Every notification sound is someone else telling you that their priority should become your interruption. The most dangerous part of this availability trap is how good it feels in the moment when someone thanks you for being so responsive, so helpful, so dependable. You get a small hit of satisfaction. But satisfaction and success are not the same thing. That momentary good feeling is actually the bait in a trap that will keep you mediocre forever. The path to extraordinary achievement requires extraordinary focus. And extraordinary focus is impossible when you're ordinarily available. The choice is simple but not easy. Continue being everyone's go-to person and remain average. Or start protecting your attention and become exceptional. The decision you make about your availability today will determine whether you spend your life helping others achieve their dreams or finally achieving your own. Now, let me show you exactly what happens inside your brain when you allow constant interruptions to control your day. Understanding this science will change how you think about every notification, every request, every interruption, forever. When you're working on something complex, let's say you're analyzing data, writing a proposal, or solving a challenging problem, your brain creates what neuroscientists call a cognitive workspace. Think of this as a mental stage where all the relevant information comes together. Your working memory holds the key facts. Your attention filters out distractions. Your neural networks fire in synchronized patterns to process information at the highest level. Building this workspace takes time. Research shows it requires an average of 23 minutes for your brain to reach peak focus on a complex task. 23 minutes of uninterrupted concentration before you hit your mental stride. But here's the devastating part. A single interruption, even one lasting just a few seconds, completely destroys this workspace. Your brain has to start rebuilding from zero. Dr. Sophie Leroy at the University of Washington discovered something called attention residue. When you switch from one task to another, part of your attention remains stuck on the previous task. It's like having multiple browser tabs open in your mind, each one consuming processing power. The more often you switch, the more residue builds up until your mental performance drops to a fraction of its potential. Consider what this means for your typical day. You sit down to work on something important, your phone buzzes, just a quick text. You respond in 30 seconds and return to work. But your brain needs another 23 minutes to rebuild full focus. Before that happens, an email arrives, then a colleague stops by, then another text. Each interruption resets your focus timer back to zero. You spend your entire day operating at maybe 30% of your mental capacity. The University of California conducted a study tracking knowledge workers throughout their day. The average person checks email every 12 minutes. They switch between applications over 300 times per day. They're interrupted every 11 minutes on average. The result? They spend less than 3 minutes on any single task before being pulled in another direction. 3 minutes! How can anyone produce meaningful work in 3-minute fragments? But the damage goes deeper than lost productivity. Constant task switching actually changes your brain structure. MRI studies show that people who regularly multitask have less gray matter in areas responsible for cognitive and emotional control. They develop what researchers call continuous partial attention, a state where you're always monitoring multiple streams of information, but never fully focused on any of them. This explains why so many capable people feel mentally exhausted at the end of each day despite accomplishing little. Their brains have been in a constant state of high alert, rapidly switching between tasks, never settling into the deep restorative focus that produces both results and satisfaction. It's like running a marathon at sprint speed, unsustainable and ultimately destructive. The most successful people intuitively understand this science, even if they can't name the research. Warren Buffett famously said his success came from saying no to almost everything so he could say yes completely to a few important things. Bill Gates schedules think weeks where he's completely unavailable to everyone, allowing his brain to work on complex problems without interruption. These aren't accidents or personality quirks. These are strategic decisions based on how high-performance thinking actually works. Your brain at full capacity is a precision instrument capable of remarkable achievements. Your brain under constant interruption is like a race car being stopped and started every few hundred yards. It will never reach its potential speed. Time studies of top performers across every field reveal a consistent pattern. They batch similar activities together. They create large blocks of uninterrupted time for their most important work. They treat their attention like the finite, precious resource it is. They understand that being selectively accessible isn't antisocial. It's essential for operating at their highest level. The research is clear and the implications are unavoidable. Every time you make yourself available to everyone, you make yourself effective for no one, including yourself. The science doesn't lie, and neither do the results of those who apply it. Now that you understand the science, let's talk about the solution. But first, we need to destroy a dangerous myth that's keeping you trapped. Society has taught you that saying no is selfish, that protecting your time is antisocial, that setting boundaries makes you a bad person. This is complete nonsense, and believing it will guarantee your mediocrity. Real selfishness is wasting your potential. Real selfishness is allowing constant interruptions to prevent you from becoming the person you're capable of being. Real selfishness is saying yes to everyone else's small requests while saying no to your own big dreams. When you protect your focus, you're not being selfish, you're being responsible to your future self and everyone who depends on your success. The word no is the most powerful productivity tool ever created, but most people use it like they're apologizing for existing. They say things like, sorry, I wish I could help, but, or I feel terrible saying this, but. Stop apologizing for having priorities. Stop feeling guilty for protecting your most valuable asset, your attention. Here's how successful people say no without burning bridges. They acknowledge the request, express appreciation, and decline clearly. Thanks for thinking of me for this project. Michael, I'm focused on other priorities right now and can't give this the attention it deserves. No lengthy explanations, no fake excuses, no apologies for having boundaries. But saying no reactively isn't enough. You need systems that prevent most requests from reaching you in the first place. Think of this as building a fortress around your focus with multiple layers of protection. The first layer is delayed response. Stop responding to non-urgent messages immediately. Batch your email checking to 2 or 3 times per day. Let phone calls go to voicemail unless they're from your most important contacts. This simple delay filters out about 40% of requests. Many people will solve their own problems when they can't get instant access to you. The second layer is what I call your personal board of directors. These are the 5 to 10 people whose requests automatically deserve your attention. Your spouse, your children, your key clients, your direct supervisor. Everyone else goes through your filtering system. When someone outside this inner circle makes a request, ask yourself 3 questions. Does this align with my current priorities? Will saying yes help me achieve my most important goals? What will I have to give up to say yes to this? The third layer is creating clear criteria for what deserves your time. Write down your top 3 professional priorities and your top 3 personal priorities. Any request that doesn't clearly support one of these 6 areas gets an automatic no. This isn't harsh, it's strategic. Every successful person has learned that focus means saying no to good opportunities so you can say yes to great ones. The fourth layer is scheduled availability. Instead of being accessible all day, create specific windows when people can reach you. Maybe it's 2-3 p.m. for phone calls, or Thursday mornings for meetings. Communicate these windows clearly and stick to them. This trains people to respect your time while ensuring truly important matters still get addressed. Remember, boundaries aren't walls, they're filters. They don't keep everyone out. They ensure only the right people and opportunities get through. When you're selective about who gets your attention, you become more valuable to those who earn it. The most successful people understand something that average people never learn. Your ability to say no determines your capacity to achieve something significant. Every yes to a small thing is a no to something bigger. Every interruption you allow is a dream you defer. Every boundary you fail to set is potential you surrender. Now comes the moment of truth. You understand the problem, you know the science, you have the tools. But knowledge without action is worthless. It's time to reclaim your time sovereignty and transform from a reactive responder into a strategic achiever. Start with your digital environment because it's probably your biggest source of interruptions. Turn off every non-essential notification on your phone right now. Email notifications, social media alerts, news updates, they all need to go. Your phone should interrupt you only for calls and texts from your personal board of directors. Everything else can wait for your scheduled checking times. Next, implement what I call calendar blocking. Look at your calendar and block out your 3 most productive hours each day for your most important work. Treat these blocks like sacred appointments that cannot be moved or canceled. If someone asks to meet during these hours, you say, "I'm not available then, but I have time at..." Most people will accommodate your schedule when you're clear and confident about your boundaries. Here's where it gets challenging, training the people around you to respect your new limits. When you start protecting your time, some people will push back. They're used to having unlimited access to you, and they won't like the change. Your colleagues might call you unavailable. Your friends might say you've become distant. Your family might accuse you of being less caring. This resistance is actually a good sign. It means your boundaries are working. When people complain about your reduced availability, they're really complaining about losing their unlimited claim on your attention. Stay firm. Explain once that you're focusing on important priorities, then demonstrate through consistent action that your boundaries are non-negotiable. The guilt will be intense at first. You'll feel selfish when you don't immediately respond to messages. You'll worry that people think you don't care. You'll be tempted to return to your old, constantly available self. This is normal, but it's also the test that separates those who achieve extraordinary results from those who remain ordinary. Remember why you're doing this. Every hour you protect is an hour you can invest in becoming better, achieving more, and creating the life you want. When you were constantly available, what did you accomplish? When you scattered your attention across dozens of small requests, what meaningful progress did you make? The answer should strengthen your resolve to maintain your boundaries. Track your results. Keep a simple log of how you spend your protected time and what you accomplished during these uninterrupted periods. After just 1 week of consistent boundaries, you'll be amazed at what becomes possible when your attention isn't constantly fragmented. The compound benefits multiply quickly. Better work leads to better results. Better results lead to more respect from colleagues. More respect leads to bigger opportunities. Bigger opportunities lead to greater success. All because you decided to stop being available to everyone and started being exceptional for the few things that matter most. Some people will adapt to your new boundaries and continue to be part of your life. Others will fade away when they realize they can't use you as their on-demand problem solver. Let them go. The relationships that require your constant availability aren't relationships, they're dependencies. And dependencies drain your energy while giving nothing back. 6 months from now, your life can look completely different. Not because of some magical overnight change, but because you decided to stop being available to everyone and started being strategic about your attention. Let me tell you about Rachel, a regional sales manager who made this transformation and how it changed everything. Rachel was the person everyone turned to. Her phone buzzed constantly with questions from her team, requests from other departments, and personal messages from friends and family. She prided herself on being responsive, helpful, always there when needed. But despite working 60-hour weeks, her sales numbers were stagnant. Her team wasn't improving, and she felt exhausted all the time. The breaking point came during a critical client presentation. Rachel had spent weeks preparing, knowing this deal could make her quarter. 5 minutes before the meeting, her phone started buzzing with texts from her team about minor issues. She ignored them at first, but the messages kept coming. During the presentation itself, her phone vibrated on the table. The distraction was subtle, but enough to throw off her rhythm. She lost the deal that night. Rachel made a decision that would transform her career. She would stop being available to everyone and start being strategic about her attention. The change wasn't easy, but the results were extraordinary. First, she turned off all non-essential notifications and established specific communication windows. Her team could reach her for true emergencies, but routine questions had to wait for her designated check-in times at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 4 p.m. initially. Her team complained. They were used to instant responses and didn't like the new system. But something interesting happened. When people couldn't get immediate answers to every small question, they started figuring things out themselves. Her team members began making decisions independently instead of constantly seeking approval. Problems that used to require her input were solved by the people closest to them. Her team wasn't becoming less effective. They were becoming more capable. With her communication under control, Rachel could focus on the high-value activities that actually moved her numbers. She spent her protected morning hours on strategic planning, client relationship building, and coaching her top performers. The difference was immediate. Her sales presentations became sharper because she could prepare without interruption. Her client relationships deepened because she gave them her full attention during meetings. Within 3 months, Rachel's sales numbers increased by 35%. But the real transformation was in how others perceived her. Instead of seeing her as the person who solved everyone's problems, her colleagues began viewing her as a strategic leader. Her boss noticed the improved results and started asking for her input on bigger decisions. Clients began referring to her as their most professional vendor partner. The change in her personal life was equally dramatic. When Rachel stopped responding to every social invitation and family request immediately, people initially complained. But then something unexpected happened. The quality of her relationships improved. When she did spend time with friends and family, she was fully present instead of constantly checking her phone. Her conversations became deeper. Her connections became stronger. This is what happens when you transform from servant to strategic leader. When you're constantly available, people see you as a resource to be used. When you're selectively available, people see you as a valuable person to be respected. Scarcity creates value in every area of life, including how others perceive and treat you. The transformation isn't just about what you gain, it's about who you become. When you protect your attention, you send a message to yourself and the world that your goals matter. Your time has value, and your potential deserves respect. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You stop being a support character in everyone else's story and start being the hero of your own. But here's what most people don't understand about this transformation. It's not a one-time decision. It's a daily choice. Every morning, you choose whether to check your phone immediately or protect your first hour for important work. Every time your phone buzzes, you choose whether to respond instantly or stick to your communication schedule. Every request that comes your way forces you to choose between being helpful and being strategic. The people who achieve extraordinary results make the strategic choice consistently, even when it's uncomfortable. They understand that temporary discomfort from saying no leads to permanent satisfaction from achieving their goals. They realize that short-term social pressure is a small price to pay for long-term personal success. Your attention is not unlimited. Your time is not renewable. Your focus is not replaceable. These are the most valuable assets you possess, and how you manage them determines everything else in your life. When you treat them carelessly, you get careless results. When you protect them strategically, you get strategic outcomes. The choice is in front of you right now. You can close this speech, go back to your old habits, and continue living as everyone's go-to person, while your own dreams remain unfulfilled. Or you can make the decision that separates high achievers from everyone else, the decision to stop being available to every. Start today. Turn off those notifications. Block out your calendar. Practice saying no without apology. Train people to respect your boundaries. Focus your attention on what matters most. The discomfort you feel is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're doing something that will change your life. Your future self is watching this moment. The person you could become is waiting for you to make this choice. Stop being available to everyone and start being exceptional for yourself. The transformation begins now with your next decision about how you'll spend your attention. Your time is now. Your moment is here. Make the choice that changes everything. But let me tell you what happened to Rachel 1 year later, because this is where the real magic begins. The woman who used to answer every text within minutes, who said yes to every request, who made herself available to everyone, had become something entirely different. She wasn't just successful, she had become magnetic. People started seeking her advice specifically because she wasn't always available. Her opinions carried weight because she didn't share them constantly. When Rachel spoke in meetings, others listened intently because her words had become rare and valuable. The scarcity she created around her attention made every interaction more meaningful and impactful. Her team, which initially resisted her new boundaries, began performing at levels she never thought possible. Without constant access to her for every small decision, they developed confidence and independent thinking. Her department became known throughout the company for innovation and results. The very people who complained about her reduced availability became her biggest advocates. Crediting her leadership style for their own growth, the promotion came exactly 14 months after she made her transformation decision. Regional sales manager to national sales director, a position she had dreamed about for years, but never believed was possible while she was drowning in constant availability. Her new role required the exact skills she had developed through protecting her attention: strategic thinking, decisive leadership, and the ability to focus on what truly matters. But perhaps the most profound change was in her confidence. When you consistently protect your most valuable assets, your time and attention, you begin to see yourself differently. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstances and start feeling like the architect of your destiny. You stop reacting to whatever demands the day brings and start creating the outcomes you want. Rachel's personal life transformed too. Her relationships became deeper because she was fully present during the time she chose to give. Her health improved because she had time for exercise and proper meals instead of constantly rushing between other people's urgent needs. Her hobbies returned because she protected time for activities that brought her joy, most importantly. She began pursuing goals she had abandoned years earlier. The novel she always wanted to write, the advanced degree she had postponed, the side business she had dreamed about. These became realities because she finally had the focused time required to make them happen. This is your invitation to the same transformation. Not someday when life gets less busy, not when other people become more understanding, not when the demands on your time magically decrease. Today, right now, with your very next decision about how you'll respond to the world's constant requests for your attention. The person you're meant to become is waiting on the other side of this choice. Your extraordinary life begins the moment you stop being ordinarily available. The transformation that will define your future starts with the boundary you set today. Stop being available to everyone. Start being exceptional for yourself. Your time has come.